I want to try something fun and make a weird custom paper canvas that's both white and black. Well, hello there, I'm Detroit. I want to do something cool today. I want to draw with black ink on white and with white ink on black at the same time. Well, I'll be alternating pens, obviously, but still. I have this black paper that I like in terms of texture, but I don't use it nearly as much as I should. More on why later. I have like 30 sheets of black paper and a couple more here and there. The pages are 24 x 22 centimeters, by the way, which is slightly bigger than the normal A4 format. The texture, which I mentioned earlier, is kinda similar to this other paper I have, which is white, so I decided to combine them. Actually, this all comes from this video I did a couple weeks ago, inking with the paintbrush, the second one. Some drawings I made then were not centered on the page, so to make it look nice, I cut out the borders so that it would be more centered. I was left with a lot of white paper strips. I cut them in random length and placed them on the black sheet. This is the process I did before recording, by the way. I traced the shape of the white strips, then cut thin slices on the black paper at various points with the same width as the white strips. I inserted the strips into the black paper, then used tape to make sure they wouldn't move around. It's a very simple process, the kind of thing you would do in elementary school. One could even imagine a full illustration made just from interlacing two different kinds of paper. Anyway, I had my black and white canvas. I hit record and started drawing. The rest you can see for yourself. Now let's mention the pens for a bit. I'm using here a Rotring Isograph 0.35 with Rotring black ink for, you guessed it, the black lines on white. I thought I used the Rotring recently, but actually I didn't, and it gave me quite a bit of trouble to get started. I had to spend a lot of time cleaning it completely. I emptied the cartridge, took all the separate bits away and cleaned them in cleaning fluid. Then I scrubbed it lightly using a cotton Q-tip, and then rinsed it all off with clear water. Then I dried it with a cloth. When these things get stuck and the ink is dry inside, it's so tedious to clean, so take care of your pens, y'all. But I got it working in the end, obviously. I like the Rotring. As the name Isograph implies, the line width is constant, and it's nice. Of course you have to trade between nice line consistency and the feeling of it, which isn't as good for paper with large grains such as this one. The Rotring feels scratchy and rough. Not to the point of like chalk on a blackboard, but in a similar vein. But it's a Rotring, I'm not teaching you anything new about it if you've ever used one. Now let's talk about the white pens, which honestly are shit. I have 3 of them of the same pack, with width 0.3, 0.4 and 0.5 millimeters. That's what it says on the box, even though the pens themselves are engraved with 05, 08 and 10. I don't understand what that means. These are Jelly Roll white pens. They come in a pack of 3 from the brand Sakura and are apparently made in Japan now that I read the box. So they are gel ink pens. I don't really like using them, which is maybe why I don't draw on black paper that much. To be fair, I don't remember the white pens being this shit, but maybe this has to do with me not having used them for maybe half a year. And that I actually got them 6 years ago. Not using a pen will do that sometimes. For example, the smaller pen, the 0.3mm or 05, is the one I wanted to use for this drawing, since the width is closer to that of my Rotring nib, but I couldn't get it to work. The only one I got to work is the middle one, the 0.4mm or 08, and the one I'm currently using here. And I had to work for it. See the small piece of black paper on the side there? The underside of it is covered with white strokes and curves that I used to scrape the dried gel and get it running through the tip again. I kept it on the side because every time I switched from the Rotring to the gel pen, I had to make sure the white gel was running again. So yeah, these pens are shit, but I can't really blame them. It might have been my fault and that of time. Yes, I blame the concept of time as a whole for the state of my drawing implements. Now that I've said it, I feel much better. Hey, why not like the video and subscribe? I decided today I would ask you in the middle of the video instead of the beginning. Don't worry, I'll remind you at the end too. So subscribe, like the video so that YouTube shares it with more people, and let's move on. I want to talk about stats for a bit. That's the thing with these abstract ink doodles of mine, often I don't have much to say about the drawing itself. You can only say so much about a random assortment of lines densely packed together. So in these videos I often diverge and tell you about random topics of interest. I also often use these videos to make a log of how far this YouTube channel has grown and how it's going. This is for me to remember in the future, as well as for you to maybe glean some info if you're also on this YouTube path. Currently, at the time of recording, this channel has 1,392 subscribers. When this is uploaded, it's reasonable to assume that we'll have passed 1,400. These days, you are 2 to 5 people joining every day. Total views of the whole channel are 123,688, which is a number I can't really comprehend. Like, it's a really big number. I can't imagine what it would look like in terms of a crowd of people, or a number of grains of rice or something. It's a bit mind-blowing, although in terms of YouTube views, it's not that much, I guess. It's a strange metric, and to be fair, I don't really aim to understand it. Something that got my attention for the past couple weeks though is the number of videos. Ever since I started this channel on March 1st, 2020, I made 305 videos. That's kind of a lot. Sometimes it's a bit depressing to think about it when I see that a lot of people I watch the content of on YouTube have like millions of subscribers and way less videos uploaded than me. A lot of art people that are close to 1 million subscribers have like 120 videos. Some even have channels that are only 1 or 2 years old. What does that mean? Is it that I'm so middle in terms of talent that after such a long time only a bit more than 1,000 people like my stuff? Or am I just bad with SEO stuff and I make bad titles or thumbnails? I don't really know what it all means. At the same time, it's weird because I don't really care that much, but I still do, you know? Like, I know things I could do to increase my chances, like following current trends and like art challenges, but do I really want to do that? I don't want to make a lovey-dovey drawing for Valentine's Day or Inktober or Christmas special stuff. I want to make them when I want to make them. Something I should definitely have done since the start is focus on only one sort of content. But I make a point of alternating between digital art and traditional ink drawings, which is really bad in terms of getting an audience that usually only likes one kind of content. So that's also on me. Another thing I think I should mention that is important is the survivor bias. When I see the stats of my channel compared to others, I think the survivor bias is at play. Let me explain what it is briefly with an example. During World War I, I think, there were a lot of aerial battles, and most planes wouldn't come back from combat. The ones that did come back were full of bullet holes, and the engineers thought to reinforce the parts of the plane that had holes in them, of course. But some guy took the opposite approach. Since these planes had come back, it meant the planes could take bullets in those areas. So in turn, they reinforced the parts that had no bullet holes. These were the parts that, if hit, would make the plane go boom boom. So the survivor bias is that you tend to only take into account what you see and not the rest. You know maybe a couple dozen YouTube content creators, and you think that they are all very successful, so in comparison you are not. But you don't think about the hundreds and maybe thousands of less successful creators, because you don't know them, since they are not as successful. So maybe it's not that I'm not talented. There are probably as many YouTube channels focused on drawing that are smaller than mine, just as there are many bigger ones. Or even more, I don't know. I think the survivor bias is relevant to the situation, so it's not as depressing. You can't compare your work to that of only the lucky few that really blew up. But again, I don't really mind not blowing up or getting viral or something. I do things at my own pace, and that's enough. It's not like I'm staking my entire life on it. I don't live thanks to YouTube revenue, thankfully, since I don't get any. I live on my revenue coming from 8 years of college studies, so I'm not complaining at all. But do still subscribe though, and show this to a friend of yours. I don't need it, but I'm still hungry for it. It's fun drawing on a half black, half white paper like that. It makes a cool, unique piece of abstract art. Tell me what sort of canvas I should experiment on in the future. The comments are made for this. And that will be all for this video. I'm Detroit and I'll see you next week. Bye!